Hello, we would like to showcase to you our Poison Void Sphere of the Rending build for the Pathfinder Ascendancy. The Void Sphere summons a massive black hole that sucks in nearby enemies, slowing them and radiating damage. The transfigured version removes the cooldown of this skill, but you are still limited to only one sphere at a time. It also deals over 3 times as much base damage compared to the original version. The Void Sphere converts 40% of its physical damage into chaos damage, which makes it very biased towards poison as your main way of scaling damage. It is possible to convert the remaining 60% and use critical strikes, but it can be quite expensive to achieve satisfying results. To poison enemies, you don't need to worry about conversion, as both physical and chaos damage counts toward this ailment. The Void Sphere pulses at fixed intervals, so you also don't need to invest into cast speed, although it makes relocating your sphere more comfortable. The Pathfinder is undoubtedly the most popular choice for most poison builds. It offers plenty of damage, poison proliferation, and exceptional flask sustain. It also makes your life flasks more reliable, which is very valuable for a build that cannot leech life. The best way to improve the damage of the Void Sphere is to use sources of extra chaos damage such as the Obliteration Wand or Ming's Heart and improve the base gem levels. The Pathfinder greatly enhances and automates the Withered debuff, which increases chaos damage taken by enemies. You will have high maximum life, evade most attacks, decent chaos and physical damage reduction, and suppress all spells. As a Pathfinder, you will have a permanent uptime on the utility flasks, and your life flask provides insane recovery. Thanks to explosions, proliferation, and very fast movement speed, your clear speed is excellent. The damage against bosses is decent enough for mapping, but can be very high if you are willing to sacrifice defenses. The build can be assembled very cheaply even at the start of the league, with tons of possibilities to invest further. Most unique items used here are very cheap and not necessary for the build functionality. Some of them can be corrupted to gain additional bonuses for a quite cheap price. The Obliteration Wand grants a lot of damage by adding the extra chaos damage based on the initial physical damage of the Void Sphere. The additional explosions massively help with your clear speed, as they will obliterate entire packs of monsters at once. The Cold Iron Point is a very cheap way to gain tons of damage. You can corrupt it to get an additional damage over time bonus. You can also dual wield them for maximum damage. This armor massively reduces the damage you take from physical and chaos hits and the damage over time effects. It also offers decent life recovery after taking a hit. To get more damage, try to get a corrupted implicit that boosts gem levels of the Void Sphere. The Cloak of Flame is the cheaper alternative, but it doesn't protect you from chaos damage. You can also use the Lightning Coil for more physical damage reduction against hits, but it won't protect against damage over time. The Tides of Time will greatly improve your flask effect and their sustain. It can be very powerful if you mainly fight bosses, but for regular map clearing, the regular rare belt will be better, as you rarely run out of charges. The Asenath's Gentle Touch are the best gloves for any poison build. They automatically apply Temporal Chains Curse and provide extra explosions for even better clear speed. The replica Dragonfang's Flight can grant 3 gem levels to any skill in the game. Look for one that would boost your Void Sphere. It is an unpopular skill, so getting high reservation efficiency shouldn't be too hard. You will use 2 very powerful Herald skills, and this ring can make either of them even stronger. The Circle of Ambition is the Uber version that combines 3 Herald modifiers, but a synergetic combo might be very expensive. The Ming's Heart grants you an absurd amount of damage, but also lowers your maximum life by a noticeable amount. Use the Noxious Catalyst to make the bonus even stronger. Using 2 of them will almost double your damage output. The Icefang Orbit is another great ring to use. It grants a decent amount of damage, provides a chance to poison which can be helpful at early levels, and applies a 10% chill effect to every enemy you hit. Try to get a useful corrupted implicit, as the attack damage is useless for this build. This jewel can grant you plenty of strength and redirect a portion of the physical damage to be taken as fire. You can also use the Brutal Restraint to get more damage, blind enemies on hit, or gain onslaught on kill. This jewel is the best way to get immunity against elemental ailments when you are ready to drop the Purity of Elements. You will also need relevant modifiers on your rare boots and cap the spell suppression chance. On the Watcher's Eye, you can get very powerful bonuses while you use your only offensive aura, the Malevolence. You can also get useful defensive bonuses for using Grace or Purity of Elements, such as additional spell suppression or chaos resistance. Most of your rare items are rather simple and focused on defense. You should use Energy Shield and Evasion bases to comfortably make use of Eldritch Battery Keystone and get spell suppression modifiers. The majority of your damage comes from Cluster Jewels, allowing you to get more life, spell suppression, or chaos resistance on your armor pieces. It will be expensive, but a rare weapon can grant you the most damage. You will need bonuses to gem levels, damage over time multiplier, and increases to the chaos damage. On your rare shield, look for defensive modifiers such as maximum life and elemental resistances, but you can also get a bit of damage via additional gem levels, which can only appear on pure energy shield bases. Use the crafting bench to get spell suppression or ailment avoidance. Your helmet may be the biggest contribution towards the energy shield, which you need to cast the Malevolence aura. Other than that, look for maximum life, spell suppression, and resistance. You also might need the mana reservation efficiency here if you didn't get a good roll on the amulet. Your boots are an important source of your movement and action speed. Other than that, you should try to get maximum life and resistance. They can also grant you plenty of ailment avoidance, which you need to use Petrified Blood instead of Purity of Elements. Here you should look for tons of maximum life, elemental resistance, flask sustain, and strength. You should use the Stygian Vice to get an additional Abyss Jewel. The Hunter's Influence allows you to boost your maximum life or increase the chaos damage, but it can be quite expensive. The offensive modifiers on the Abyss Jewels are not very useful. You should focus on defensive and utility instead. Try to get maximum life, lacking resistances or attributes. You can also lower the regeneration rate of hindered enemies, or get immunity to corrupted blood. The rare ring is the best defensive option that can also provide plenty of damage. Look for maximum life, damage over time multiplier, increased chaos damage, minimum frenzy charge, life recoup, and lacking resistances or attributes. Your rare jewels can be a quite potent source of maximum life, damage over time multiplier, and increased damage or duration of poisons. You can also get a bit of flask sustain, cover resistances and attributes, or get immunity to corrupted blood. The cluster jewels are simply a more effective way to scale your damage than notables available on the passive tree. The physical damage version offers more raw damage, but Chaos Cluster can grant you extra explosions or prevent stuns while casting. The medium Chaos Clusters offer even more damage, as well as additional flask sustain or maximum life. The Circling Oblivion is the mandatory notable, as it grants both damage and the duration of your poisons. At a later stages, you can get the Progenesis, which is the best defensive flask in the game, as it effectively offers you 30% more life, as you will easily offset the damage taken over time with your powerful life flask. As a Pathfinder, you will have no problem sustaining it at all times. You can also use the Taste of Hate as another great defensive flask. It is not as good, but definitely more affordable. You will easily sustain it at all times, so you can count on it to cover your cold resistance. You should use a life flask with bleeding removal and improved life recovery, Quicksilver to make you faster, Quartz to phase through enemies, and a set of defensive flasks that match your playstyle. Your main skill creates a voided sphere that sucks in nearby enemies, slowing them down, dealing damage, and consuming their corpses. You can have only one sphere at a time. For regular mapping, we recommend swapping efficacy for increased area of effect or faster casting, as the damage will be sufficient even without it. If you can't get the Empower support, use Hypothermia instead, which will be enabled by the chill from the Ice Fang Orbit Ring. The Grace Aura greatly improves your evasion rating, allowing you to evade most of the incoming attacks. The Purity of Elements grants you a lot of elemental resistances and makes you immune to elemental ailments. At a higher budget, you can replace it with Petrified Blood for better damage mitigation. The Herald of Agony improves your chance to inflict poison and empower its damage. This herald improves your physical damage, which affects the void sphere before conversion to chaos damage. You will need the enlightened support to fit in all those auras. One herald may remain unlinked. You can also pick up the mana reservation mastery instead. The Malevolence is your most powerful offensive aura that greatly improves your damage over time and duration of the void sphere. To use this aura, you will need to convert it into a temporary buff with the Divine Blessing support. The inspiration significantly lowers its cost. The shield charge is a very fast movement skill that can be used without cooldown. You need a shield to use it. The shield charge scales with your attack and movement speed. Use those supports to make it even faster. The Enduring Cry is a war cry that regenerates a lot of maximum life and generates endurance charges, which grant you a bit of physical damage reduction. The Call to Arms automatically uses this war cry for you whenever it is ready. It doesn't reserve any mana. The Steel Skin is a guard skill that absorbs large amounts of damage, but its effectiveness relies on its gem level. You can also use Immortal Call if you don't have enough strength, as it offers flat damage reduction. You can use Automation to use it off cooldown, or cast when damage taken support to trigger it whenever you start taking non-lethal damage. The Despair Curse massively reduces the chaos resistance of affected enemies. You should cast it manually for the best result. The Frost Blink is an instant teleport skill that can be used while casting. Use it to dodge attacks and cross terrain gaps. The Withering Step is a great way to inflict many stacks of Withering debuff at once. It shares a cooldown with other movement skills. You should kill all the bandits for 2 additional passive points. It is the best option. For your major Pantheon power, we recommend Soul of Arakali, which reduces the damage you take from overtime effects. The minor power of the Rislatha improves your life recovery from Flasks when you actually need it, and significantly lowers the regeneration rate of your enemies. You can start using the Void Sphere of Rending at level 34. To reach that level, you should use the bow damage over time skills such as Caustic Arrow or Toxic Rain. You can switch as soon as you are able to reach 100% chance to poison, or continue using bow skills until you finish campaign. For more tips and adjusted leveling tree, visit the written guide on the website. On your final passive tree, you will focus on poison damage, increasing your maximum life and spell suppression chance, make your flasks more efficient, and improve the reservation efficiency of your auras. The Eldritch Battery Keystone and a bit of energy shield bonuses allow you to use the Malevolence aura, as well as remove all the mana problems for your other skills. The Whispers of Doom Notable increase your curse limit by 1, and you can take the Curse Mastery to get a 20% global poison chance against cursed enemies if you still need it. Both physical and chaos modifiers affect the final poison damage. The bonuses on the passive tree are not particularly bad, but the notables granted by cluster jewels are simply more efficient. We hope you enjoyed the video and thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please ask them freely in the comments. Have a good day and see you next time.